I love tweaking the SEC people. They're freaking out. They still think they're the best. They're not. They haven't even seen or sniffed the national championship game in years. Come on, let's stop this nonsense. The Big Ten is the #1 conference in America. Get used to it, people.
What is up, everybody? Thank you guys again for joining us on Crain & Company and making Crain & Co. a daily watch or listen. We're back in the studio, boys, after SEC Media Days, and we're just moving on. We got Big Ten Media Days this week. We got ACC Media Days that week, all a mile marker to getting us close to what we love the most. That's football, but college football in general. And we thought, with a lot going on in the Big Ten, with Media Days happening, why not bring on a guy that specialize in it? You can find him on Locked On Big Ten. You can find him on ESPN in Southwest Florida, too. I'll tell you what, covering the Big Ten from Southwest Florida, if that's where you're from, Craig Shemon, that's a hell of a mix because all y'all are going down there when you retire anyway. So, Craig Shemon, let's go. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm actually from the Midwest originally, Michigan and Indiana. I'm an Indiana grad. I love the Big Ten, but so many people have moved down here. Mm-hmm. The content of my radio show, it's like a national show. We talk about everybody. We talk about Big Ten football, SEC football, NFL. So my job is super easy. And then, like you said, I specialize with Locked On Big Ten because it's true to my heart. That's what I follow my entire life anyway.
Well, Craig, we appreciate you being here. And I actually put out kind of a question on social media. You know, what is your biggest question as a fan heading into the Big Ten in 2025? And really the overwhelming kind of winner of that was, is this the year that Penn State finally gets over that hump when you look at all the context around it, with Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback, with Michigan breaking in a new quarterback, with Oregon breaking in a new quarterback? So that's where I want to start. Is Penn State the best team in the Big Ten heading into 2025 overall?
I think they are, and they have the most experienced quarterback in the country, Drew Aller. Their two running backs have been there for 4 years, Singleton and Allen, and they always reload on the line. They're good. They've had trouble at wide receiver. I think that's been the fly in the ointment for James Franklin. They have never been able to stretch a defense with a game-breaking wide receiver. They got a couple of receivers this year. And the moniker on James Franklin, hey, he's a great coach. Like if he ever were to get fired, he'd get another job. He'd probably have 50 job offers in 2 minutes. But the fact that he can't win the big game, that's around his neck. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. And when I look at this team this year, I look at them and I say, look, if not now, when? I mean, if he doesn't do it this year, and that's a lot of pressure to tell a guy he's got to go all the way and win a championship. We only have 3 active coaches in all of college football that won a national championship. And he has to do that this year to get rid of this noose around his neck about not being able to win a big one. But yeah, they're loaded from top to bottom.
Well, the comparison that we've kind of made on here, and I know LSU has obviously won a lot bigger things more recently than Penn State, but when you look circumstantially at where all the big dogs are in the SEC and the Big Ten, I see some parallels between what LSU returns, and a lot of it is on Nussmeier, and then what Penn State returns and Drew Aller. But shifting over to the rest of the big dogs in the Big Ten, when you look at this Ohio State team and just how talented this roster is around who I presume to be the starting quarterback, Julian Sand. I mean, Cone, I think you called it right. They could have the best player on offense and defense in the country with Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver and Caleb Downs. So again, just to kind of stay in this realm of can Penn State get over it. So you don't think the roster around Julian Sand, even if he is just a good player, can eventually overwhelm Penn State in one game, that this Penn State team is built around Drew Aller to be able to withstand all the talent that Ohio State has?
It's very possible. I mean, that's the one team you think of when you look at their schedule. Is like when I do win-loss predictions and win totals and all that, I'm looking at Penn State and I'm like, there's the Ohio State game. They're going to lose that one. They're just in their head. It's what happens. And that's a fantastic point, that no matter what side of the ball Ohio State, whether they're on offense or defense, they're always going to have the best player on the field on any given day with both Downs and Jeremiah Smith. So Yeah, they have to get over that hump. Penn State does. They got to beat Ohio State. It all comes down to that one.
Well, Jordan Rogers said he thought Kotelnicki's offense was a little gimmicky. I think every offense is a little gimmicky. And so I remember when Gus Malzahn
like a true defensive
was
guy.
Running the wild. But I don't mean gimmicky in a bad way. If it's a gimmick and it works, that's congrats. They put a hot chick on a billboard at some point and it worked. Was it a gimmick? Yes. But did it work? Now everybody does it. So, when you look at Kotelnicki coming over to Penn State, I thought it helped Drew Aller a little bit. Push the ball down the field and open up the offense somewhat as compared to the Great Depression style of offense. I mean, they were a little bit better looking Iowa there for a while.
Do you think when, this is a quick aside, but when Sharon Moore was the interim coach for Jim Harbaugh's suspension in the second half against Penn State and he didn't call a single pass play, was that sort of, some sort of message to Penn State like, hey, this is how we're going to do things?
It was an ugly off. Who can be the ugliest?
Craig, there's got to be a lot of confidence in Las Vegas this week with the league having back-to-back national champs. One of the more surprising developments in college football a year ago was the way the Big 12 completely inverted itself with Utah and Oklahoma State having losing records, and then Arizona State wins that conference. I'm sitting here looking at the predicted finish for the Big 10 here that came out this week. You got USC at 9, Washington at 10, Wisconsin at 12. I mean, are there any programs in the back half of this list that could legitimately win the Big Ten this year?
I am curious to see. I don't think they're there yet, but I'm curious to see the growth in year 2 with Dylan Raiola. I think he's the real deal. I don't know how much talent they have around him at Nebraska, as Matt Rule is making tiny increments of improvement each and every year. So I won't put them in the upper echelon. I think if I was to pick a sleeper team, I've picked a sleeper team on Lockdown Big Ten. The team to watch, again, I don't know if they can get all the way and win the thing, but I like Washington.
Yeah.
I think Jed Fish did a great job last year, just getting that team, rebuilding 20 of the 22 starters that he inherited. He had to restart the whole thing from the team that lost the national championship game. Damon Williams, I don't know why he wasn't starting at quarterback every single game. Every time he touches the ball, they had a 2-quarterback system last year. I thought he was phenomenal. Jonah Coleman's a great running back. They got Boston, the wide receiver. I think that's the team to have some fun with and keep an eye on this year in the Big Ten and see how much they improve from last year to this year.
Summer's firing up, and so is your grill. But here's something that'll make you think twice about that next barbecue run. Did you know that over 85%, that's right, 85% of grass-fed beef in stores is actually imported? They're eating grass from another continent, man. So while you're planning the perfect tailgate or backyard cookout, that premium steak might have traveled more miles than your favorite team this season. That's exactly why we switched to GoodRanchers.com for all of our summer grilling. Picture this, you're hosting the big game watch party. We know how important those are. You're firing up the burgers by the pool, and you want to be serving the best all-American cuts for your guests. Well, Good Ranchers delivers exactly that. Every cut of beef, chicken, and pork is 100% born, raised, and harvested right here in America by local family farms. No antibiotics, no added hormones, no seed oils, just pure, clean meat that'll make your grill the MVP of every cookout. Plus, they deliver it straight to your door. Game day prep just got a whole lot easier. We've been using them for 3 years. I get the butcher's box, but every single box is full of quality at a great price. And here's an even better deal. If you subscribe to any Good Ranchers box today, you get your pick of free meat for life. Yes, you heard that right. I'm talking free Wagyu burgers, hot dogs, bacon, or chicken wings in every single box. And when you use our code BOOSTER at GoodRanchers.com, you'll save an extra $40. So hit up Good Ranchers. Go to GoodRanchers.com, use code BOOSTER for that $40 off plus free meat for life. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered.
So, Craig, how are you feeling about Michigan right now? I mean, 8-5 a year ago, which, by any standard at Michigan is a bad season, but you beat the eventual national champs. You beat Alabama. In the middle of all that, you signed the highest rated recruit that you've ever had in Bryce Underwood, who sounds like he's going to be the starting quarterback this year. So it sort of softened that 8-5 a bit. You lose a bunch of talent to the NFL in the first round, but the theory is, well, we're actually deeper now, and they're going to be rotating, 10 guys on the defensive line alone. Your linebackers return. You get Rod Moore coming back at safety. Alabama transfer at running back with Justice Hayes. So what are your thoughts on Michigan right now? Predicted 5th in this poll that I'm looking at here.
First of all, for them to win 7 regular season games and an 8th game by beating both Ohio State and Alabama by the way, beating Alabama twice in 364 days.
Yes, sir. Sing it.
To do it without a legitimate quarterback Sharon Moore should have got votes for Coach of the Year last year because that was phenomenal. They were really handicapped at quarterback last year. In fact, it was a disaster, and yet they still won 7 games in the regular season. I am as excited as anybody to see Bryce Underwood this year and see what it's all about. Look, you got to give him a little bit of leeway of a learning curve and a ramp, right? I don't expect him to come out and throw for 300 yards. Well, Michigan's never going to really throw for 300 yards, but in a particular game. But I expect him to make a few mistakes, and as we'll see how quickly he is able to get a hold of the thing, get a hold of the offense and get going. And if he starts out hot early, look out. Michigan will be a lot higher than that 5th place team. I think if he has any kind of season at all, they very well could get a 4th playoff spot. I'm assuming the Big Ten would get 4 teams in the playoffs. That's the kind of year I think they can have this year. And of course, we still are waiting as of now on the NCAA Spygate thing. Is Sharon Moore really only going to be penalized 2 games with the self-imposed suspension? Is the NCAA going to come out with more games? Is it going to be a year long? Is it going to be show cause? It all comes down to those 52 text messages that he had with Connor Stallions and what was really in those. I think that's going to determine all this. And of course, we just learned that Tony Petitti actually went to bat for him and for Michigan with the NCAA back in the June hearings on this. And I don't know if they're going to take that into consideration or not. That was ironic because Tony Petitti was the one that laid down the hammer on Michigan for 3 games for Spygate back in 2023.
Yep.
And just like that, you totally redeem yourself.
I wonder how patient the Michigan fan base are going to be with Bryce Underwood and Sharon Moore. Do you think it's going to, obviously it depends on if he comes out of balls or not, but if it's slow early.
Well, this is why winning that national championship was so big, to be able to go ahead and get that done and buy yourself some of that equity. Not that they'd be thrilled if he played awful, but, Coney, to his point, though, with Damon Williams at Washington, I'm telling you right now, that kid is the closest thing to Nick Marshall that I have seen. Yeah. As far as, legitimate athletically, can he throw it well enough? Nick Marshall just threw it well enough to be a threat. If he can throw it well enough, that Washington attack it's scary.
Hey, and just one quick point to you talking about patience when it comes to Michigan. I hear you 100%. Like I said, 8-5, and you beat the national champs and you beat Alabama, and still that's a bad season by Michigan Standards. That's how it should be if you're Michigan. Yeah. But just remember, Jim Harbaugh, and I know he was the golden son and played quarterback for Bo Schembechler and all that, but he was 0-5 against Urban Meyer. Yeah. Couldn't beat the Buckeyes and had a losing record against Michigan State. Cut. 2 things you can't do, and he was doing both of them. And yet they still were patient enough with him to be able to get the program in a spot where he needed to get it. And then look at how he ended his career there.
Yeah, it's just great to see a fan base with patience because, trust me, the one I read for, we do not have any of it. One team I want to talk about.
We have patience. It's just not the mental.
And we're not it's in a hospital.
Speaking of patience, how long does Ryan Day get to enjoy the national championship before he's asked a question about beating Michigan at media days, right?
Yeah, I don't think that seat ever turns off.
No, I
think it's just always slightly.
Well, the best way we described it is it's like in the car, like the heater seater or whatever you call it is on. That's literally what my wife calls it, and now I can't even remember. Seat warmer, what it was called.
The heater seater's better.
But the seat warmer's always on, but Ryan Day's ass just isn't touching it for right now. It's just sometimes it's touching it, sometimes it's not. But it's always on until he beats Michigan. It's on.
And I'll tell you what, the play is not. The wrong play is for the Buckeye fan base to pretend like the game doesn't matter anymore or it's not important. Because
that's what the other fan base does.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's like
not going to work.
That's like when you go ask a girl out at the bar and she says no, and then you're like, yeah, I didn't like you anyway.
Yeah, that's that.
It's exactly like.
Well, one guy's seat who is not turned up, that's Kirk Cignetti.
He's turned
at
up.
Indiana, Mom Spaghetti. You win 11 games last year. The 3 years before that, you have a total of 9 wins. Cignetti rolls in and win 11. You bring Mendoza in. Fernando's, what I saw at Cal, I think he's already better than Curtis Rourke. You bring back some production on defense. Was this Indiana Kirk Cignetti thing a one-hit wonder, just one magic run? Or could you see them back? No Ohio State or Michigan on the schedule. Could you see them back in that playoff talk this year?
Let us just say politely, and I say this as an Indiana grad, the schedule is favorable for a repeat performance this year, right? Yeah. There's been a lot of criticism at Indiana. They have decided that the model is to not play Power 4 non-conference games. win as many games as you can, and go ahead and get a playoff spot. It worked last year. Their schedule is pretty favorable here. Although I think the Big Ten portion is they got to go to Oregon. There are a couple tough games on there, but if they roll in at 10 wins again, I would not be totally shocked. Again, the schedule does line up for them to take a crack at it at least. And you're right, with Mendoza quarterback and whatnot. Their offensive line is steady. They got the center from Notre Dame coming over to anchor that in the transfer portal. There's some pieces there. I think their starting wide receiver, maybe the best receiver in the league, not named Jeremiah Smith. So, I think he's going to make a run at it this year.
Well, if the way I look at it's like this, if Indiana goes 10-2 and they lose at Oregon, at Penn State.
So your away games are at Iowa, at Oregon, at Maryland, at Penn State, and your out of conference is Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State.
Okay.
Got to go 11-1.
So, well, if I think if they go 10-2, a 9-3 Florida or a 9-3 SEC team gets in over them. If they go 11-1 with that schedule, obviously they're going to be in the playoff. So to me, the mark is 11 with that schedule. Because again, there's a handful of teams out there, and it's not just SEC teams, that if they go 9-3 with schedules, I wonder if Illinois is kind of in the same boat, Craig, with the schedule that they have, which is favorable. Do they have to go 11-1 to be able to usurp a 9-3 SEC team with a better strength of schedule? That 2-game window to me matters.
I would love to see programs punished in the postseason for this out-of-conference strategy that Indiana's going with. I do think that they deserve criticism for that. And the strength of schedule is a real conversation. The only problem that we were talking about last December is the SEC's trying to convince the world that one of their 7-5 teams deserves to get in over 11-1. At some point, the losses have to matter, Craig.
The shame of it is Indiana's football team last year was a really good team. And I don't think they got credit for it because of the schedule. And then they got pounded by Notre Dame in the playoffs. But having said that, you mentioned Illinois because that's real key. I think both Indiana and Illinois are kind of the same boat. They got to get, over that 10.5 win mark. And the beauty of it is they both play each other like in week 4. And I think for those two schools, though, that might be the most important game of the schedule because the winner will have the inside track to take a stab at it.
That's a great point.
Do you have the Illinois schedule? Because they're projected 4th right now, and they've got Luke Altmaier returning.
Yep.
And I don't know. They may not be in that 11-1 category. They may be able
Got it.
What's the non-conference?
You're at Duke, you're at Purdue, at Washington, at Wisconsin. Your non-conference, those are away games. Your non-conference is Western Illinois, Western Michigan.
And Duke.
And Duke.
You said Duke.
Yeah, they got to win them. They got to win a lot.
Yeah, God, it feels like 11, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got Ohio State at home. I mean,
they don't play Penn State or Oregon?
No Penn State, no
Michigan?
Oregon or Michigan on the schedule.
Wow, I think you got to go 11. It's going to.
That's what happens in an 18.
I really wonder though,
league.
Craig, if both of those teams are battling for one spot. Like, is that truly just a battle for that one spot? I do want to ask you while we got you on here. There's some teams too on the periphery. We hear, and again, I love me some Shiano. We hear the Rutgers talk, eventually they're going to sneak in there and get it. But Oregon, to me, is one of the most fascinating teams this year because they've got a guy that has bided his time. I know he transferred once, but he went in, decided to sit behind Dylan Gabriel. When you look at this Oregon roster overall, and you look at Dante Moore, where do they compare with the Ohio States, with the Georgias, with the Texases? Like, is the roster around a new quarterback even close to what those teams have?
I think it is because they do a great job in recruiting both the portal and the high school kids. And, you just hinted on it right there. Dante Moore's the new guy coming in, but he's got a year of experience under his belt from 2 years ago as a starter at UCLA under Chip Kelly. And this is a very quarterback-friendly offense. I mean, Bo Nix transfer. Bo Nix wasn't anything at Auburn. He went over there and he lit it up. Now he's an NFL quarterback. Dylan Gabriel came in, had a phenomenal year last year. Very quarterback-friendly. So, as far as Dante Moore coming in, I think all the tools, all the weapons, the offense, coaching is all in place for him. And I will also tell you this. I think that Oregon won the transfer portal this year. I am excited to see they got a left tackle from Nevada that they're already talking about being like a top 2, top 3 pick in the NFL draft in Isaiah World. And what a great name for a left tackle because he's like, 6'8", 340 pounds. He's just massive. And then I think the actual steal of the transfer portal was their safety, Dylan Thieneman, who is the only talented player on the Purdue roster last year. The kid was freshman of the year 2 years ago. I think he had 6 interceptions as a freshman. He was their leading tackler 2 years in a row, and now he's coming over to be the backside of that Oregon defense as well. So yeah, there's plenty of talent wherever you look on this unit. Of course, they lost their best wide receiver here in an offseason injury, but they just keep reloading at that position. I think Oregon's going to be just fine. And my favorite quote, I think, going into this year at this time, what Dan Lanning was asked, hey, how are you going to adjust to the rough and tumble Big Ten? And he said, you know what? They got to adjust to us. I thought it was a cocky, arrogant comment at the time, but I loved it at the time. And he backed it up by going undefeated in his first year in the league.
Well, Dan Lanning in Oregon, it's never been a quarterback problem or skill.
It's the defense in Big Ten.
Well, it's the defense and against playoff opponents. I mean, look at it last year. You gave up 34 against Boise State. You gave up 31 against Ohio State, and you end up giving up 37.
Yeah, that's been the surprising part, is that it's not kind of your left hand that killed you. As far as the Bo Nix thing, I agree with you. I mean, him leaving when, basically Harsin took over, it's like we like to call young Sheldon's dad, but just in better shape. That was a good choice for him. But, Coney, I guess the last thing I have for you, Craig, is the Big Ten, from top to bottom, the best conference in college football heading into 2025.
Yes. I love tweaking the SEC people. They're freaking out. They still think they're the best. They're not. They haven't even seen or sniffed the national championship game in years. Look, when Alabama's going in and losing to Vanderbilt, come on. Let's stop this nonsense. The Big Ten is the number one conference in America. Get used to it, people.
Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect answer.
Mission accomplished for
Craig,
this episode, brother.
when we have you on again, we're going to have the great debate between the SEC and Big Ten, man. We'd love to have you on again. Locked on Big Ten.
Hey, if men in black suits show up to your house.
Yeah, if the FBI shows up.
Maybe stay off social media for a couple days after this comes out.
That last clip. But hey, people in Southwest Florida, if they want to find you too, Craig, where can they look you up?
Yeah, we're at 98.1 FM in Southwest Florida, and I'm on 2 to 6 every weekday. We got a great show. Been doing it for about 8 years down here. You joked earlier how retirement life down here in Florida. I'm still working full time with 2 full-time jobs, but I'm living the retirement lifestyle here in Florida.
It's the best of both worlds. You'll live to be 109 doing it that way. Craig Shemon, thank you so much. Locked on Big Ten. Check him out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy all the Big Ten and ACC Media Days coverage. Remember, here at Crain & Company, without you, there is no us. And like the chances of me agreeing with Craig on his last statement, we're going. Oh, God, that was pure. Gone.